Welcome to the Unmasked Parent Podcast. I'm Kimberly Cox. I will be your host today. So, last week we talked about what the podcast was going to be about. Threw some stuff out there. It was all over the place. This week, hopefully, we're going to stay a little more on track, but we'll see. We are going to talk about self-care being non-negotiable, okay? So, I am excited for this topic because I feel like this is one of those topics that is so near and dear to my heart because I have had so many problems with just in general, like low energy and not being able to actually do a lot of stuff without being frustrated or aggravated or mad or whatever. And it was because I was not putting my needs first. And once I started really getting into filling my own cup first so that I could pour from overflow, it's like a magic door opened and just led me to this ability to have more patience, to have just more of everything, right? More patience, more ability to get going and to do the things, more motivation, more stamina. The first point that I want to make about self-care is we need to redefine what self-care is, okay? In today's society, a lot of people look at self-care as bubble baths and manicures and getting your hair done and all of that, like just stuff that's pampering to yourself. And while that is a part of it, we should never tell ourselves we're not worthy of being pampered or we're not worthy of that kind of stuff. But self-care at its actual core is just meeting your own needs, making sure that your needs are met. We know from study after study that when people are hungry or tired or bored or frustrated, we tend to not be able to handle stuff as well. We tend to be more emotional. We make decisions based on emotion. We are not as logical. We have a harder time detaching from things. It's just not a good place to be in mentally, like our brain-wise. It's not a good place. So when we take the time to make sure that all of our needs are being met, right? All of our needs are being met in a way that helps us, okay? And this is important to understand too, because I think sometimes I have seen a trend, and it's not so much anymore, but there was a trend a while back, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago, where a lot of parents were doing little shorts, little reels, whatever you want to call them, with talking about, I eat, but it's what my kids don't finish on their plates and stuff, that's my dinner. But I eat, I do eat, and it's okay. That's probably not the most nutritious way to do things. And yes, I know nutrition can be a back and forth all over the place kind of thing because there's a lot to get into that, right? But we should be aiming to get as nutritious of food in our system so that we can function properly, so that we can take on all of these things, okay? We should be getting enough sleep. And yes, we all talk about how in the newborn stage, it's very difficult to get sleep because you've got a newborn who needs you all the time. And when they're sleeping, they say sleep when the newborn sleeps, but then when do you have time to breathe and have a thought outside of your kid? And it's difficult. It really is. And there's certain things that are just a season, and we just have to know that they're a season and that they're going to end at a certain point. And we just have to keep that end point in mind. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. It is there. I promise you. Just keep going, right? Keep going, keep working, keep trying to do all the things until you get there. However, I think a lot of times as parents, what we do, we take this season that we were set up for, okay? And from that season, we turn it into this life. And sometimes it's even an ego trip, if you will, okay? Because I know there's a lot of parents out there, not a ton, but there's enough. There's a good handful of them that it's not a bad thing necessarily, but we want to feel needed. We want to feel appreciated. We want to feel those things. And so when we double down, we triple down, we quadruple down. And then when we don't have to anymore, we try to find ways to stay in that situation so that we can continue getting that validation, continue getting that praise, continue getting that stuff. And I feel like that's a space where, again, we have to think of things in seasons, right? I said it last week that you should never, ever give up yourself, your goals, your dreams, your life for your family. You need to keep them here, and you don't just push them away for your dreams, obviously, but you should be able to have both. You should be able to have both, because when we have stuff that's for us, when we have stuff that makes us feel productive, that makes us feel like we're contributing something, like we're doing something, like we matter in the world, in the scheme of things, even if it's just in your family, but it's more than just, I wake up in the morning, I take care of everybody, and I go to bed. We wake up in the morning and we contribute some other way to society, to our town, to our church, to our playgroup, to our family, whatever that is. Contribution helps us feel like we're a part of something. And so that's one of those basic needs. I didn't come in here with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but I will do a whole other podcast episode on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, actually probably next week now that I brought that up. That's one of those things that I absolutely love talking about. It's like my happy place, because it really does make sense on how needs are, like how we need things. And what's even cooler is that neurodivergents typically have it flipped upside down. And so the things that we absolutely want to do the most are the things that we need to do, the things on the top to get to. Like we need to work our way down instead of working our way up. Everybody else does. And it can be frustrating for us because we can want to jump steps because we desire the bottom part of that so bad that we want to throw everything away and jump steps and do, things that are just not necessarily healthy for us to get to that point. And we have to slow down and go through all the proper steps so that we can be healthy and able to handle the energy it takes to do those things. So the new definition of self-care is just making sure our needs are met and our cup is full so that we are pouring from that overflow, from that full cup that's continuously getting filled, and we're not taking and depleting our own resources for other people. Okay, the next point, and I brought it up in Monday's podcast too, just briefly, but balance is an illusion. And I think a lot of times we go into this thing thinking, okay, how do I balance this? How do I balance work and family and home and career and this and that? We're like trying to balance. It's a lie. You cannot balance, okay? What we do is we do the best that we can to kind of evenly spread out our attention evenly. And that's why people say, like, you really can't do too many things at one time. Like there's a thing in the content creation world where it's like you really should only focus on one or two platforms, because if you start trying to do Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and all of these different places, you're not giving enough attention to any one of them. And so you're going to get, results are going to come slower. It's going to take more time and more effort to get results out of any one of them than if you just focused your attention solely on a couple of them and grew those to where they were sustaining themselves and then worked on others. And I know that's hard because especially as neurodivergents, we want to do it all. We have these goals, we have these dreams, we don't want to choose. We don't want to be like, oh, I can only do this and I can only do that right now. We want it all. We're ambitious and we know it and we want it all. And darn it, we're going to get it all. A lot of times we have that mindset of, I'm not stopping until I have it all or I burn out. And that's the part that we have to be careful on, is that we don't burn out. There are ways that I help people to look at their situation and say, okay, what season are we in right now? Okay. For me, I am creating content. I am putting it out there, and I know that the right people will find it. Am I bending over backwards, doing backflips and getting very into the discussions and into other people's comment sections to build connections and things like that? No, I'm not. I'm building this podcast. I'm putting it out there. I know the right people are going to show up because I have other areas of my life right now that need more attention than this. This is something that I'm putting out there, and I know that it's going to be successful, but I'm not putting my full weight behind it right now because I don't have that kind of energy to do that. I have school, my kids are being homeschooled, and I have my health that I've been working on and going to continue to work on throughout this year. I have to be in a place where I am healthy enough to handle the go-go, it would be great to have a podcast that shoots up the charts and you're being invited to places and doing all kinds of other interviews and stuff. I don't have the time right now. So I would have to turn things down. I would have to triple book myself on a day to where I have only an hour of me time throughout the day, and it's not even one solid hour, and drain myself. And then the next day I'd have to get up and do it over again in order to keep going like that. And that is not sustainable for myself, and I know that. We have to pick and choose the areas that we feel like we need to work on the most. And we can still put some attention, we can still put something behind the other things so that we don't feel like we're just sitting them on the back burner and they're not doing anything. But we put the attention on them when we're able to, when we have the overflow, when we have the extra. I'm recording these right now on the Saturday before the week that it's going up. So I had all week that I could have recorded. This is the time that I'm able to actually get in here and do this. And I just go with the flow with that, right? I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get this episode recorded. I thought maybe I would get Mondays and then I would have to wait for today's. But I ended up, I'm going to get both of them done today, and I'm going to get them both edited through the afternoon. And then I can have them ready to upload and stuff as we go. But I have to be on that flexible kind of plane with this. And that's difficult for me. It's not easy, but I know what's important. And I had to take stock of that and go, okay, what are your most important things? You have to have your health, because if you don't have your health, you're not going to be able to handle family and school and homeschooling the kids and work and all of this stuff. You have to get yourself in check, and then things can start opening up, right? The next step, okay? You need to fill your cup first. And when you fill your cup first, you're going to find that you're more productive with your day. And this can seem, something in my eyeball. This can seem very counterintuitive in a way, because we can feel, if I'm giving all this energy to myself, like I need to be spending that on doing stuff. I need to be productive. And it's like, we're not asking you to spend 6 hours with yourself, okay? I spend 30 to 40 minutes every morning. I do my gratitude, I do my affirmations, I make sure I'm listening to some kind of a meditation or putting on a positive playlist for a little bit. I do that kind of stuff. And then on the flip side of things, I can come in and I can make sure that I am planning out my time as soon as I'm done with that. So my cup is now full. I have all this energy and motivation to do stuff. Now, what is the most important things I need to do to move needles forward in things? Is that I need to do something with social media? Is that I need to clean part of the house? Or do I need to work with kids on school? Or do I need to cook or whatever? What are the things that today are going to mean the most and make things go smoother? I like to have not a schedule, but a plan for the week. I like things to be on this day I'm going to do this, on that day I'm going to do that, on this day I'm going to do this. However, a month like this month, I have 17 from the beginning of the month to the end of the month, 17 assignments for between two classes that are, most of them, at least 2 to 3 parts. So it's not just like doing one thing. It's, oh, we need to read all this, then we need to do something else with this, and then we need to add a third component or something. 17 of those like that. So I'm busy. I got a lot going on just with that. And then you add in having to make sure the kids are doing school, which sometimes it goes back and forth. Sometimes I'm like, okay, like this week is going to be one of those weeks, and next week we'll catch up on more lessons, or we're going to do a lesson or two on a weekend, because we have that flexibility to do that. But it is about flexibility, and it is about having to make your mind up that there are certain things that you need to do, certain things that you're going to do. But there are also some things that might have to go to the back burner for a little bit. And then there are times when you're just going to be so drained of everything that you have to pull some of that back burner stuff out to give yourself a jump start, because that sounds exciting. That sounds like fun. That sounds, if I cross that off my list, I would be jumping up and down. So let's cross it off the list to get that energy. And then we can start working on some of the stuff that's a little bit less tantalizing, less appealing, right? But we need to fill our cups first, and then we can come at this from a more productive place. Our mind is clear, we're in a good headspace, we're not in this place of being frustrated about everything going on in the world, or frustrated about our own personal situations. We're from a fresh new slate. Gratitude is huge, okay, guys? Because true gratitude cannot live in negativity. So when we're truly grateful for things, and we're really in that space of, oh my goodness, like I am so grateful for this, we can't be thinking about the negative stuff, right? Can't coexist. So having that space brings you into this place where, as long as you can hold it there for a little bit, you can make your plan, you can do your intentions and make your plan from a place of feeling empowered and grateful that you get to do it, rather than desperate or flailing or trying to figure things out. It's very important that we do that. This is another question that I had to ask myself, and everybody really should ask themselves this. When we are trying to figure out what self-care looks like for us, right? We need to figure out what we are lacking, okay? Everybody has that stuff that they just don't feel like they have enough of, right? Whether that's, I'm not drinking enough water, I'm not getting enough sleep, I'm not spending enough time alone, I don't have enough time with people who I care about that care about me, I don't have enough time with connections. And it could be all of those things, especially if you're a parent of a newborn, or you have a young child, or you've had several young children and you're working your way up there. It can feel very isolating and alone, and we can stop really caring. We can throw ourselves into martyrdom of like, I'm only going to take care of my kids, and I'm only going to do this, and this is like what my life is about, and like I don't even really have a right to my own life or my own stuff. And that can be so detrimental on our mental health, because we're no longer doing things because we're excited about them and we want to and we're motivated. We're doing things from a place of, I have to, and I don't have a choice. And that is coming from lower vibrations. And when we're coming from lower vibrations, it's much more difficult to jump those vibrations and get the stuff up here. Get the joy, get the love, get the feelings of acceptance and happiness and fun and pleasure, because we're just so stuck down here. And so sometimes we just have to look for what we lack. We have to force ourselves to give it to ourselves, okay? I don't know how many times I have talked to parents who are like, I don't feel hungry during the day. I'm busy. I'm focused on all these different tasks. I have so much going on. It's going to take time out of my day to sit down and eat. And I'm like constantly thinking to myself, I understand that. Okay, I do. I fully understand that idea of I don't have the energy to cook. I don't have the energy to fix it for myself, to get it onto a plate, to sit down with it, to eat it. But oftentimes, when we start to give ourselves those things that we're lacking, when we start to find ways, okay? And we're going to talk about the finding ways here in a minute. But when we start to find the ways to give it to ourselves, and then we start to accept it, and we start to just, you might do it begrudgingly at first, right? I can remember when everybody was doing that 5 a.m. thing. If you want to be this CEO vibes, you need to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you need to, and I can remember when I was first introduced to that concept, I think I had a 6-month-old and a 2-year-old. And I was just upside down and sideways to it. I was frustrated. I was dragging my feet to doing these things because I was like, I'm tired. I'm not getting any sleep. I'm on the go all the time. Now you're telling me I have to do this thing. And I'm not telling you to wake up at 5 a.m., but I'm just using this as an analogy here. And I was like, but I did it because I wanted the results that they were promising it would give. And don't get me wrong, when I woke up that early, I did find results. I was able to wake up more. I was able to do more. I had more time in my day. There was a lot of stuff that was there. That was what they were talking about. However, I burned out really fast, and that didn't work for me. But when we're looking for the things that are going to work, we have to force ourselves to do them, okay? We have to force ourselves into that situation where we're like, okay, I know that this is something that I don't want to do, but it's something that I should do. And it's something, this was another trick that I used. I said to myself, this is important, and it's something that you would want your kids to do for themselves. So how hard is it going to be for you to tell them that they need to treat themselves good, that they need to take care of themselves when they get older, that they need to do all of these things if you're not modeling it for them? And that alone drove me to a place of, okay, fine. My kids deserve me in a good mood. They deserve to know what this looks like. They deserve to see this. I will do what it takes to try to make this happen. And after, I don't know, it was like maybe 2 or 3 days of solidly waking up and doing a morning routine. And it wasn't necessarily always the same thing, but it was pretty close to the same thing. I started to notice that I could handle things better. I started to notice I had more patience. I started to notice I had more stamina. I wasn't getting tired as early. I was able to push through more. I was able to do more. And on the days that I didn't do it, I noticed the complete opposite. I would be flying off the handle before the kids even got out the door when they were going to public school. It was so hard. And I had to get to that place where I had to see, this is what it takes. It's like going to a gas station and trying to put like water or washer fluid or something in your gas tank because, oh, that's the easier thing to do. But it's not what it needs. You need to fill yourself up with the things that you need, okay? the nice things are nice, or sometimes we have to not sacrifice, we have to compromise and come down a little bit on things. Maybe one of the things that I started doing was doing all of my morning routine stuff. So my gratitude journaling and my affirmations and all of that is now done on my phone or my computer. And I did that because it didn't matter where I was at. It didn't have to be a big production. I can just sit there with my phone and I can type stuff out and I'm good. I don't have to put on this production. I don't have to find stuff. I don't have to do all the things. I just have to get through it. Just have to do the things that I need to do. So once I finally started to do that and I started to notice just how much this was changing my life, I had to start making plans to keep it that way, right? And I've gone off of it for a while and back on it, and off of it, back on it. Life happens, right? Sometimes we're just in seasons where we wake up and we have to go, and we go until we fall into bed and we do it all over the next day. And sometimes I've had moments where I've had to remind myself, you haven't done this yet. And it's been 1 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm pulling out my phone and typing out my gratitude at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And you know what? From that point forward, my day turned around. My day got better. I had more energy. I had more patience. I was in a clearer space. There's something about setting yourself up in the way that you need that just helps you. It just does. Again, next week, I'm going to make a special episode just about Maslow's hierarchy of needs so we can talk about needs, right? But right now we're going to talk about needing to make that plan, okay? So what does that look like? It looks like figuring out what you need and then figuring out how to schedule it into your day so that you're getting it. We can do all kinds of things on that. If you need to drink more water, you can buy a bigger jug for your water and you can fill it up the first thing in the morning. That can be like your thing. Go to the bathroom when you're making your coffee in the morning, you're filling up that jug so you have that jug full, and then you take that jug with you throughout the day and it's always there ready for you to take a drink out of, right? It could be, if it's sleep, it could be that we attempt to go to bed earlier. It could be that we allow ourselves to sleep in to some degree. It could also be that we spend the time taking a nap in the middle of the day, right? Like we figure out I need to get this much done and then I can have a snack or lunch or whatever and then take a nap and then I can wake up. And I happen to love this when I'm able to do it. When I am able to have that, even if it's not a nap, it's just like a rest time, I'm taking my mind off of things. So maybe I'm going to watch a movie, or maybe I'm going to play, a game on my phone, or I'm going to do something that has nothing to do with the work and the productivity that I need to do, just something fun for myself. And, when we're doing that, then we can reset afterwards and we can go back, and it's a great time to go back and think about a couple of the things that we're grateful for that happened that day. And then what are our affirmations to get through the rest of the day and things like that. And we can reset ourselves. And when we reset ourselves, it's like filling ourselves back up. And it's such a beautiful point in the day when we can do that. When we can set ourselves up where that is something that can happen, it is amazing and awesome, and it keeps things flowing. So you need to make a plan. You need to figure out what it is that you need. You need to figure out how often you need to have it. Is it something we do in the morning? Is it something we do throughout the day? Figure out what it is, your frequency level of it, and then figure out something to attach it to that you're already doing in your day. Habit stacking, okay? Because when you habit stack and you put that new habit on top of a habit that you already have, you're going to be 10 times more likely to actually do it, to actually stick to it, and for it to stick as a habit. Because once you start doing it, you're going to automatically stack them together, and then it's just going to be easier to get that done. I, for one, happen to have a lot of trouble with habits. That's something that's not come easily to me. It takes a very long time, and if I get off the track, it is much harder for me to get back on. But I try to do things like I try to have my morning routine done before I get started on work, before I get started on the day. So I might be laying in bed, playing on my phone, doing whatever, saying good morning to a few people, but I don't consider that starting my day. Starting my day is when I start doing productivity stuff, right? I'm engaging in things because I need to, not because I want to. I have separate engagement, which is I might engage in the morning for a little bit with my closest friends or people that I'm really interested in what they're saying just for myself. And then I will do engagement, actual activities once I'm in my productivity space, which are completely different from what I'm doing in my personal time. So as long as I'm getting my morning routine, I try to, again, like I've said, it's been 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I've done 3/4 of my day before I've actually gotten to it before. But I try to make sure I have that done before. So that's setting my day up. And then from then on, I have that energy and that stamina to keep going. So make that plan. And then I want to add this little side note at the very end. And that is, you are worthy, and so is your family. Okay? This is one of those places where I have heard people say this before, and it's happened in my own life before. Sometimes we do things because we are pushed to do them because of the people that we care about. It's supposed to be for us. It's good for us. It's something that we need. However, we need that push of, it's not just for me. It's for me, but it's for other people too, right? Getting healthy is one of those things where it's great to be in that space where you're excited to be on a health journey and you want it for yourself and you don't care what other people think and you just want this and this is what you want. But sometimes real life gets in our way, right? And sometimes we have to remember that we're not only doing that for ourselves, but we're doing it for the people that we love because they want us to be around. They want us to still be here. They want us healthy and able to enjoy spending time with them and all of that kind of stuff. So we have to remember that in a space of, this is a double one, right? We're doing it for ourselves and you have to do things. You can only change for yourself. If you're changing for other people, it's going to be a lot more difficult to stay that way. But if you want to change for yourself, but you're having trouble getting it to stick because you keep feeling like other people need to be more important than you are, you can add this component on top of it, and that will likely help you to stick to it long enough that your own motivation will take over from there. Because when we're thinking about this and we're wanting to do this from a space of, we want to do this for ourselves, but then we want to do this because the people in our lives are going to benefit from us being healthy or being in a better space, being in a better space mentally, having more energy, more time, more patience, more whatever it is. When we can tack that on there, that's going to help us to keep going with it because it's difficult. It is. Life is not, it's simple, but it's not easy. It requires work. It requires constant attention to what you're focusing on, constant attention to the people that you love and care about, constant attention to yourself, to how you see things, and to keeping that kind of moving forward. Because it's very easy to, and I'm not saying you can't take a day or two to relax, but it's so much harder once you do to get back on. I think most of us find that it's just easier to keep going because when we take those breaks, it becomes much more difficult to do it when we get back on track, right? Alrighty, guys. I hope you guys got something out of this. Again, like I said, next week, be looking for the episode on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's super exciting. I might do that as just a special one that'll tie both of the podcasts together too, because I feel like that's one that we need all the way around, right? Our kids need it, we need it. And once we understand it, it opens our eyes to things that we probably didn't realize were needs. We probably didn't realize psychologically our brains, our bodies are human person was designed to need these things. And so once we get that kind of figured out and we start to meet all of those needs, then we have more energy, more stamina, more ability to do things. And that includes our kids, right? Our kids are right there with that on that same playing field there. So I'm Kimberly Cox. This is the Unmasked Parent Podcast. I'm so glad you were here today. If you got anything out of this, if this resonated at all, drop me a comment, let me know. Share this across all your people, and I will talk to you guys all next week. Bye.